Hi everybody, Dr. Stringer here. This class doesn't usually have any kind of online video lectures, but I'm going to try to at least talk to you all about some of these things throughout the class. As I've mentioned, this is one of those classes that is best if you take it face-to-face, because then you can have a lot better lectures and more class discussion, engagement, things like that. But I know some of you are taking things online, and so you need to do so. So with that said, they don't want us to have too long of videos on here for accessibility reasons and stuff like that. But I am going to try to talk to you all a little bit about some of the course material throughout the class to kind of help you to grasp it, so to speak. So in case you haven't noticed, this module is just kind of an introduction module to research. And as we look through here, you can see you can actually access these slides through the lecture material in the module as well, so don't worry about writing things down as I'm looking at them. But criminal justice professionals are both consumers and producers of research. You all probably not produce too much research at this particular juncture, but at the end of the class you are going to be writing a research proposal, which is going to be how you propose to do some research. So then at that point you would be coming close to producing some research. Now, if you're a graduate student, we would have you actually producing some research, and you'd actually have to analyze some data and stuff. The thing with research is there's really two different realities, so to speak. There's the experiential reality, agreement reality, and things like that. We all agree to some things, and then there's some things that we learn through experiences, like touching the stove is hot. But then there's other things that, the sun sets in the west. That is, something that happens regardless of what happens, or what we've experienced, so to speak. Empirical research is very important. And those of you that when you write your proposals, you want to make sure that you're using empirical, scholarly research for your proposals. Please don't use Wikipedia and things like that. For those of you that don't know, anybody that wants to can go on Wikipedia and write whatever they want to. So it's not reviewed by experts. It's not even necessarily written by experts. It could be written by any random person that can operate a computer. So it might be a 10-year-old. So that's not the most reliable source in the world, right? And even sometimes people with PhDs might not write the best of stuff, but that won't be published in the best of journals. So looking at some common circumstances, we use causal and probabilistic reasoning, which mainly looks at things, or causality and probability, to understand why things happen and stuff. Secondhand knowledge, you might learn things through tradition, authority, things like that. There are some problems and errors in human inquiry, which we're going to talk about throughout the class. And this is regarding inaccurate observations, things that you might see that are not accurate, overgeneralizing things. Maybe using a sample of things that you've seen in one class and then overgeneralizing it to the whole university, or even the whole Cobb County, or the whole state of Georgia, things like that. And then selective observation, where you maybe go to one area and decide that you want to see people drinking and acting stupid, so you go to a bar that's frequented by a bunch of people that are drinking and acting stupid. Maybe you're at Taco Mac or something like that on Saturday night. Anyway, there's also illogical reasoning. Ideology and politics play into this to some extent. Humans are, we do error. It does happen. So the purposes of research might be to examine an issue or policy, might also be to collect data to measure some other things. There's a bunch of different reasons why you might do this. You might want to observe or describe the scope of a problem. I've done some stuff on drunk driving. Drunk driving is a pretty big problem in the United States, right? So we want to do research to figure out exactly why people are drinking and driving and things like that. Exactly, explain why. Why does a certain problem exist? Why do people drink and drive? Well, because they're drunk and they want to get home. And they're not too worried about getting in an accident or getting pulled over, as perhaps they should be. Applied research, we're often evaluating problems So maybe evaluating like a drug court or the DUI court that they have in Cobb County might be something that people might do. And then policy analysis, evaluating, I wrote a paper a few years ago on evaluating the per se BAC levels for DUIs. So to say, well, if we lower it, is that going to help anything? So evaluating different policies that the politicians come up with. They often don't like that because we usually prove that they're ineffective, but for their political reasons, they want them to be in place. One of the most difficult parts is framing your interest in a research question. And some of you should be coming up with research questions throughout the class. So if you come up with something that you notice is interesting, you think you're going to be interested in, that might be a good topic for your research proposal. Reviewing the literature. Now, one of the things about a literature review is it can get kind of confusing because you're not talking about Edgar Allan Poe and different poetry and stuff like that. A literature review is talking about the existing research on a topic that's already been done. And you want to look at this stuff because it's going to not only help you to inform your research topic, but to make sure you're not doing something that's already been done. It also goes to show why what you're doing is important because it's been overlooked by the existing research. And so there's some stuff with how to read a scholarly research article. You first want to start with the abstract. I like to tell people, when you go and you start looking at a new topic, to go and just read a whole bunch of abstracts. For those of you that don't know, an abstract is usually about 200, 250 words. And you can, if an abstracts are written properly, then they should give you a good idea about what that paper is, what it found, and the key policy implications and stuff just from the abstract. And you can go and read 100 abstracts in probably a couple hours, and then go and figure out the articles that maybe you want to read in a little bit closer detail. The next thing, if you want to read it in closer detail, I would recommend looking at the summary, the conclusions, the discussion sections, because here's where they're really going to tie together everything, and that should be the main part of their article. Now they're going to have the literature review and the methodology, which some of you might not understand a lot of at this particular point, and that's fine, and then maybe the findings section too, but the discussion section you should be able to grasp. Then you want to carefully read the whole article and see what they've got going on there, obviously. Reading a book length report, those are a little bit more complicated, but you shouldn't be doing too much of that because that will be very time consuming. This module is going to talk about writing a research proposal a little bit, and so that's what you're going to be doing at the end of the class. So pay particular attention to that, keep notes of where this information is, because that will help you later on. And then look at, you're going to make sure you describe the problem or objective. You're going to have a literature review section, set up your research questions, the subjects for the study, your measurement. We're going to talk about measurement throughout the course, so don't worry about that. At this point, if you don't know what that is, data collection, analysis. Of course, all of you know what references are. And then, you don't have to do this for this class, but for grant proposals and stuff, you should be writing a schedule, a timeline, and a budget of what you're going to be doing. So this module is pretty straightforward, not a whole lot of new information, but it is one of the easier ones, so I hope that you all will read this chapter and get all this information, taking notes of and all that good stuff, and don't forget to do your discussion boards. One thing that I wanted to mention to you all, and students have struggled with this in the past, is that I know that a lot of classes have where you only have to reply to one person in the discussion board. Now, I didn't make the rubric for this, but for this class, if you only reply to one or two people, you only get, I think, 1 point for your interaction with other students. So, I would try to interact with 2 or 3 people, or at least have probably 3 or 4, maybe 3 or 4 posts. So because that's the way the rubric is set up for grading that, and you can look at the rubric and see this for yourselves. But just try to do that. I know that in the past some students have, they just want to reply to one person, and that's fine. You just have to accept that you get the points for that. And I'm just kind of stuck with that's what it is. I didn't make it, but with online courses we don't really have as much leeway with adding additional things and changing things. So I'm adding some short video lectures for you all to try to help but hopefully you'll remember to do that. And so with that, I hope you all have good luck, and I will talk to you soon.